Why do some people achieve success while others remain stuck in a place where everything feels unbearable? Why do some work less yet earn more while others work tirelessly and see no results? These are questions that many people struggle with, and the answer lies in our perception of the world. When faced with problems, many of us fail to see that the main obstacle to success is our very attitude towards these problems. Money, fear, time. These are not external barriers, but internal limitations that we impose on ourselves. What if I told you there is a philosophy that can help us overcome these barriers? Stoicism, the art of controlling yourself and your emotions regardless of external circumstances. It helps not only to cope with difficulties, but also to be successful. Let's explore how Stoicism helps us break through obstacles and achieve what we truly want. But before we dive into the philosophy of Stoicism, let's first define what holds most of us back from achieving success. Fear, it is something each of us faces. We fear failure, fear change, fear stepping into the unknown. But what if I told you that fear is not the enemy? It is a part of our nature. And whether we become successful or stay stuck depends on how we relate to it. Many are afraid to take the first step. For example, you want to start a new project, but that inner voice says, you can't do it. You'll fail. This is the voice of fear, arising from our self-doubt. Fear clouds our mind and prevents us from acting. We fear losing money, fear that people won't understand us, fear that we won't achieve what we want. But the most important thing we forget is this: fear is not facts, it's our emotions. It is an illusion that arises in our consciousness, and only we have the power to break it. The Stoics taught us not to react to fear as if it were reality. We cannot control external circumstances, but we can control our reaction to them. Seneca said, "The impossible does not exist if you can control your thoughts." This is the strength of Stoicism. We can change our reactions to what happens, and by doing so, we can control our lives. When we fear something, it's a sign that we are on the verge of change. The Stoics believe that fear is not something to avoid, but something to accept and understand. Fear is not something that holds us back. It is what pushes us to grow. If you fear failure, that's normal. Failure is not the end. It's a lesson that will make you stronger. The Stoics said that what matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to it. One of the brightest examples of how fear can be turned into strength is the life of Epictetus. This philosopher was a slave, but he was not afraid of what he could not change in his external circumstances. Epictetus realized that his strength was not in changing the world, but in changing his reaction to it. The fear of slavery, of being unable to change his fate, didn't stop him. On the contrary, he became a great philosopher who taught others how to manage themselves in any situation. This is a lesson we can take for ourselves. Our fear is just an emotion that we can control. We need to learn not to perceive it as something that should stop us, but as a signal that we need to act. If you fear failure, that's a sign that you are ready to step outside your comfort zone. Fear of failure should not be your obstacle. It should become your motivator. The Stoics taught that the greatest successes come from overcoming internal barriers. To achieve what we want, we must first learn to manage our fears. Fear is not a barrier. It is an opportunity for growth. When we stop fearing and start acting, we open new horizons for ourselves. Another important point is our inner dialogue. We often create scenarios in our minds where failure awaits us. We imagine the worst possible outcome, which amplifies our fear. The Stoics teach that we can change these scenarios. Instead of imagining the worst result, picture yourself succeeding. Think about how you can act in a difficult situation to learn from it, rather than worrying about failure. An important Stoic rule is, it's not what happens to us, but how we react to it that shapes our life. Stop being afraid and start taking action, regardless of external circumstances. Fear is not something to avoid. It's something to accept and learn to live with. It's a signal that you are on your way to something great. The Stoics teach us that in order to succeed, we must learn to face our fears and move forward, despite them. Many of us believe that money is the key to success. We see people who have achieved financial prosperity, and we often think that money opens the doors to a better life. We strive to earn more, but often face disappointment when we realize that wealth doesn't bring the satisfaction we expected. Money is indeed important, but it is not the main element of success. The Stoics taught us that true value lies not in making money, but in how we use it, and, most importantly, how we perceive it. We often tend to think that financial independence is the path to happiness, but we need to stop and ask ourselves, what does wealth really give us? People often become attached to money as the main source of security and happiness, and forget about more important things. The Stoics understood that in our world, there will always be external circumstances we cannot control, including money. However, our inner resilience and our attitude towards these circumstances, that's what truly defines our success. History is full of examples of people who started from nothing, with no wealth, but managed to achieve tremendous success. A great example is Epictetus, who was born into slavery and had nothing but his mind and willpower. He became one of the most influential philosophers of his time. His philosophy was based on the belief that wealth is not defined by the amount of material possessions we have, but by how we manage our thoughts and actions. Epictetus taught that true freedom and wealth lie not in accumulating more, but in freeing ourselves from attachment to the material world and learning to be content with what we have. Today, many people, especially in the age of social media and consumer culture, think that money is the key to success. We see others buying new cars, houses, and expensive accessories, and we think these things make them successful and happy. But in reality, all of this is just a superficial shell, which does not reflect the inner state of a person. The pursuit of money, without understanding its true value, can lead to disappointment and even inner emptiness. Stoicism teaches us that wealth is not what we have, but how we perceive what we have. This principle helps us understand that happiness and success do not depend on external circumstances, such as money. For example, when Epictetus taught his students, he said, "He is not rich who has much, but he who is content with little." This thought is deeply meaningful. The Stoics didn't reject wealth, but they taught that it is important to be happy with what you have and to use it as effectively as possible. When a person prioritizes material things, they risk losing important inner values, such as love, friendship, and personal growth. Money can open new opportunities, but it does not guarantee happiness. True success lies in being content with what you have and using your resources wisely. This also involves the ability to share what you have, help others, and use your wealth to make the world a better place. We often don't realize that happiness and success do not depend on how much money we have, but on how we use that money to create deeper and more meaningful relationships with ourselves and others. Stoicism teaches us that, regardless of how much money we have, the most important thing is our inner peace and the ability to control our desires. Many people, in their pursuit of wealth, are actually seeking external recognition. They think that if they have more, they will be happy and successful. But external recognition will never bring true fulfillment if it is not backed by inner peace. To achieve real success, we need to learn not to depend on the opinions of others and not to attach ourselves to material goods. Stoicism teaches us to be independent from the external world and to focus on our inner state. There is one more important aspect to consider when thinking about money and success. We live in a world where success is often measured by the amount of material goods we have. But this is not always the case. Many successful people understand that happiness and a successful life are not just about accumulating wealth, but about the ability to use our resources for the benefit of others. When we start using money not to prove our worth to others, but to improve our lives and the lives of those around us, we begin to understand that true wealth is not what we have, but how we use it. In the end, the Stoics teach us that the path to success does not always lie through the accumulation of material goods, but through the ability to be grateful for what we have and to use these resources effectively. Money is just a tool that can be used to create better conditions for our lives, but it is not the ultimate goal. True success lies in being content with what you have and in the ability to use your resources to create a meaningful and fulfilling life experience. Time is the one resource that cannot be returned. It passes without looking back, and none of us knows how much time we have left. Yet, despite this, we often spend our time on empty and meaningless things: procrastination, worries, and anxieties about the future. We complain about the lack of time, but in reality, we often fail to realize how much time we waste. The Stoics understood the value of time like no one else, and they teach us to use it wisely and consciously. Before diving into the philosophy of time, ask yourself, how do you use your days? We often dream about the future, put off important tasks, and get stuck in the moment, trying to control things we cannot change. But time doesn't wait. Every minute, every hour passes, and we can't get it back. The Stoics understood this like no one else, and their teachings often remind us that true success lies in living in the moment and doing what matters right now. Epictetus said, "Don't waste time worrying about the future that you cannot control." This is an important lesson. We often worry about what will happen tomorrow, fear mistakes we might make, or the failures that might await us. But these are useless worries that only steal the present moments of our lives. We waste time on thoughts about what may never happen instead of acting in the present. The Stoics taught us that the only time we truly have is now. It is in this moment that we can act, make decisions, and change our lives. Time is our most valuable resource, and how we use it determines whether we achieve success. Countless people waste time on useless activities, vices, and spectacles that offer nothing but fleeting pleasure. The Stoics understood that the true value of life isn't in the number of hours, but in how we spend them. Every moment can be used to the fullest if we focus on what truly matters. John Stuart Mill said, "The more time we spend on useless activities, the less time we have for what's important." This is truly vital for our understanding of success. We often wait for success to come, thinking that if we find more time to work, we will succeed. But at the same time, we continue to waste it on insignificant things. Constant excuses arise. I don't have time. I'm so busy. I'm running out of time. But if we truly analyze how much time we waste on empty pastimes, procrastination, and activities that don't lead us toward our goals, we will see that in reality, we have all the time we need to achieve success. The key is organizing our time properly. The Stoics teach us not to waste time on things we don't need. This means we must prioritize and make choices in favor of what matters most to us. It's important to ask ourselves, what do I want to achieve in life? And what steps can I take right now to reach that goal? The Stoics taught us to avoid idleness and unnecessary worry about the future. We can only manage what happens here and now. If we learn to be persistent and use our time wisely, we will achieve any goal. Time is often something we perceive as simply passing by. We put things off until later, believe that tomorrow will be better, and keep living this way, wasting precious moments. However, if we approach time with the awareness of how important each moment is, we can change our lives. The Stoics teach us that our life is the result of how we manage time. If we make conscious choices and don't waste valuable minutes on meaningless activities, we will gain more. Every day is an opportunity to change our life and become who we want to be. A great reminder of how important it is to use time wisely comes from the life of Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius had enormous responsibilities, but despite this, he always found time for reflection and self-development. His diaries, written for himself, became the foundation of his Stoic philosophy. He taught that time is not just a resource we must use, but a true value that should not be neglected. If Marcus Aurelius had spent all his time on political matters or worrying about the future, his philosophy would not have been as deep and powerful. He was able to maintain balance and make the most of every moment. This is an important lesson we need to learn. Time is what we must value and use to its fullest. Every day, every moment matters. If we learn to use our time consciously, we will not only achieve success, but we will feel inner satisfaction from knowing that we did not miss a single important moment. If you want to be successful, learn to value your time, learn to live in the here and now, not putting life off until later. Time will never come back, and no matter how hard you try, you cannot get back what's been lost. But if you learn to act in the present, success will be inevitable. In today's world, where everything is constantly changing, it's easy to fall into the trap of following trends. We see others buying fashionable items, following the latest fads. And it seems that if we do the same, we too will achieve success and happiness. But in reality, following trends is one of the most dangerous paths, which can lead us to false success, devoid of true fulfillment. The problem is that trends and fashion are external factors, dependent on a multitude of circumstances we cannot control. Trends come and go, but what truly matters in life are our own values, our inner world, and what we want to achieve. We start changing our lives based on what's in fashion, forgetting what's truly important to us. The Stoics taught us that truth and success do not come from external circumstances, but from what happens within us. Marcus Aurelius said that true success does not depend on what others think of you. It depends on how honest you are with yourself and how you live according to the values you consider important. True greatness comes not from conforming to others' expectations, but from living in the way you feel is right. This doesn't mean ignoring the opinions of others, but learning to filter external expectations and follow your own path. We often succumb to the temptation to follow the crowd, because it seems that if we do what others are doing, it will bring us happiness. For example, many of us follow trends on social media, buy new products, trying to keep up with fashion. We think it will bring us recognition, and that if we're like everyone else, we'll achieve success. But in the end, it's just a hollow race for illusory recognition, which doesn't bring true fulfillment. The Stoics warned us about the dangers of following the crowd. In their philosophy, they emphasized that a person must be independent, must seek truth within themselves, and walk their own path. Epictetus said, "You are not obliged to be like others. Live according to your own beliefs." This principle reflects the core thought of Stoicism. True happiness does not come from external approval, but from our inner world and how we build our lives. When we begin to follow trends, we lose our individuality. We start doing what we're supposed to do according to society's standards, forgetting what truly matters to us. This leads to emptiness and disappointment, because external successes don't bring internal satisfaction. The Stoics taught us to seek harmony within ourselves and not depend on the opinions of others. Ultimately, success is not about how others perceive us, but about how we perceive ourselves and how honestly we live according to our own principles. An example from history shows how important it is not to give in to the pressure of trends. History is full of examples of people who achieve success, not by following fashion, but by following their inner path. One such example is Socrates, who became a famous philosopher. despite not following the popular movements of his time. He wasn't seeking recognition. He simply followed his ideas and values. As a result, his philosophy had a huge impact on future generations. This is an example of how important it is not to follow the crowd, but to seek our own path based on true values. Modern society often strives for instant recognition. People want to be at the center of attention, to be like everyone else, and in this process, they lose their individuality. When we place external expectations above our own beliefs, we lose true freedom and happiness. The Stoics teach us that true freedom lies in independence from the external world. We can only be successful when we learn to follow our inner voice and be honest with ourselves. It's hard to be truly successful if you're constantly following others' ideas and trying to please those around you. But it's important to note that this doesn't mean rejecting communication or interaction with others. It means that we must value our own individuality and not try to please everyone around us. The pursuit of success should come from inner harmony, not from meeting others' expectations. Marcus Aurelius, in his Reflections, wrote, "Do not let external things hinder you from being yourself." This is a reminder that we must live according to our values and strive for what truly matters to us, not what matters to others. Success is not about meeting other people's standards. It's about being true to yourself and following your path despite external pressures. When we begin to walk our own path, free from the pressure to follow trends, we will achieve true success. We will stop wasting our energy trying to please others and start building our lives based on what truly matters. True success is not what society imposes, it's what we choose for ourselves. When we learn to be independent and live according to our own values, we will gain freedom and inner satisfaction. Stoicism is a philosophy that teaches us how to develop resilience in the face of life's challenges and maintain inner balance regardless of external circumstances. It's not just a theory, but a practical guide for those who want to be strong and successful in any situation. The Stoics taught that true success doesn't come from what happens to you, but from how you respond to what happens. They believe that every person has power over their inner state, and this self-management is the key to happiness and success. One of the central principles of Stoicism is the ability to stay calm in any circumstances. When external factors try to throw us off balance, it's important not to succumb to them. The Stoics taught us not to fight what we cannot change. Instead of wasting energy on things outside our control, we need to focus on what we can control, our inner state and actions. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoics, said, "The impossible does not exist if you can control your thoughts." This is the core idea of Stoicism. We cannot control events, but we can control how we react to them. For example, if you lose your job or face difficulties in your personal life, it might cause stress and disappointment. However, if you can learn to accept these events calmly and think about what you can do to improve your situation, your chances of success will increase significantly. This requires inner strength and discipline, and Stoicism helps us develop these qualities. The Stoics taught us the art of remembering the inevitable. This means that we must understand life will always have challenges, losses, failures, disappointments. All these are an inseparable part of the human experience. But as Epictetus said, do not fear poverty, pain, or death. These words remind us that the most important thing is not what happens to us, but how we react to it. In life, it's important not to seek constant comfort and avoid all difficulties, but to learn to accept whatever comes and use it for our growth. One key aspect of Stoicism is the concept of self-control. This means that we must learn to manage our emotions and desires. In today's world, where we are constantly surrounded by temptations and distractions, this skill is especially important. The Stoics taught us that we must be free from attachment to external goods and pleasures. This doesn't mean we must reject everything that brings joy, but it's important not to let these things control us. The Stoics believe that a person who controls their desires and is not dependent on external circumstances can achieve true happiness and success. An important aspect of Stoicism is practical discipline. To become a Stoic, you need to work on yourself every day. The Stoics taught that success doesn't come easily, and it's never automatic. It requires effort and constant work on oneself. This discipline touches all areas of life, from how we manage our time to how we interact with others. The Stoics taught that every day is an opportunity to become better, and we must use every moment to develop ourselves and work on our weaknesses. For example, the Stoics recommend starting the day by reflecting on what might happen and how we will react to these events. This helps prepare for a productive day and be ready for potential challenges. This approach teaches us that every situation is an opportunity for growth, and it's important to take advantage of all the opportunities life offers us. Epictetus taught that every moment matters, and we must learn to be ready for any trial. Instead of fearing them, we must view them as opportunities to show our strength and resilience. Stoicism also teaches us to be grateful for what we have and not complain about things we cannot change. This requires realizing that many things we consider problems are not actually such. For example, if you lose your job, it's not the end of the world. It's an opportunity to rethink your goals and start something new. The Stoics taught that it's important not to complain about life, but to use every difficulty as a chance for personal growth. Stoicism offers us a philosophy of life based on acceptance, discipline, and inner strength. It's a philosophy that helps us see opportunities even in the most difficult situations. It teaches us that our strength lies not in controlling the external world, but in managing ourselves. When we start developing inner resilience, we open ourselves to unlimited opportunities for growth and success. An example of how Stoicism helps achieve success is the life of Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Roman emperors and philosophers. Despite his high position and enormous responsibilities, Marcus Aurelius always found time for self-reflection and personal growth. His diaries, written during wartime, became the foundation of Stoic philosophy and showed how important it is to stay calm and determined despite external challenges. Marcus Aurelius taught us that true success does not depend on external circumstances, but on how we handle our inner challenges. As a result, Stoicism helps us develop the inner strength, resilience, and discipline that are integral parts of success. It's a philosophy that teaches us to act with confidence and determination, regardless of external circumstances. And if we follow these principles, we can achieve true success in life. Now that we've understood what holds us back from achieving success and how the philosophy of Stoicism can help overcome these obstacles, it's time to take action. Remember, success doesn't come on its own. It requires strength of spirit, discipline, and the ability to control your thoughts and emotions. Stoicism is not just a theory, it's a practical guide for life. If you want to change your life and start achieving your goals, start right now. Apply the principles of Stoicism in your daily life. Control your reactions to events. Stay calm and decisive in the face of difficulties. Don't wait for things to change on their own. You are the person who can change your life. So start acting. Don't procrastinate. Don't make excuses. Act today. If you like this approach and want to learn more about how Stoicism can help you on your path to success, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment. Your engagement helps me create new videos that can change your life. Together we can achieve more and reach true success. Remember, the best time for change is now.